Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome out to Zions Bank Stadium for the Soleil Lofts Unveiling Gala. My name is Richetta, and it is a pleasure for me to be tonight's MC, and if you stick around afterward, the DJ for the dance party that will be happening around the bar after tonight's main stage presentation. Please put your hands together as I welcome tonight's speakers to the stage. Blake Richetta, Nic Evans, Jess Phillips, Jerem Johnson, Bill Como, and Del Loy Hansen.
I guess I did, yeah.
It is my pleasure to first introduce to you Blake Richetta, the chairman and CEO of Sonnen Incorporated.
Thank you. All right. Oh, boys, Hi, everybody. Welcome to this incredibly important event tonight. Everybody having fun so far? Okay, good. Now we gotta get some energy in here. Part pun. First, we have a video for you. This is a special video. It's just a teaser about the Soleil Lofts community, and we are going to evolve this into multiple videos as well as advertisements over the next few months. So with that, let's roll the video. Lower the lights before I can.
Imagine a world where all electric and energy efficient building design improves the local air quality by reducing emissions. Where it's possible to bottle the sun and use it to safely power individual homes. Where sustainability is not a goal, but is a way of life. That sustainable energy future is here. Welcome to Soleil Lofts. Soleil Lofts is a first of its kind.
We started the design and we thought about every intricate detail. We said to ourselves, there's nothing we can think about too aggressively.
An all-electric apartment community that uses sophisticated batteries to power individual residents, forming a decentralized power plant that is managed by the local utility, Rocky Mountain Power.
We quickly realized this is the way of the future, to come full circle and not just be a solar company. We knew we needed the grid. This basically opens the doors for EV charging along with the solar.
Soleil Lofts is made possible by a unique partnership between a visionary developer.
I see the pollution that's here and it's real. And we should create sustainable living, today and for the future.
An innovative utility.
We're innovating in a way that's going to help us provide battery solutions for the future.
Using a groundbreaking energy design to provide a virtual power plant.
When you're working on a disruptive technology like a virtual power plant community, it's fun and exciting and it keeps you moving very quickly.
Powered by a revolutionary battery technology.
Soleil Lofts is a special community that is actually going to help all of society, and a community that will become the blueprint for the future.
A repeatable master planned community that combines an all-electric, efficient design, EV charging, and solar power with the safest, longest-lasting battery technology on the market to provide a true, safe, and reliable way to power the community and the future, all managed by the local utility.
As an individual, I want to be very aware of the impact that I'm putting on the environment. And it's really important for me to be part of a community. And those two things really play hand in hand. Being part of a community that believes in the same thing.
And the first thing that drew me in was the design of everything.
Soleil seems to have a really great vision. You know while you're living that you're actually really benefiting the planet as well.
Welcome to Soleil Lofts, a blueprint for a cleaner, healthier, and more reliable energy future for us all.
Pretty cool venue too, huh? Well, how about this venue, huh?
It's fun.
Deloitte knows how to do it in style. Any of you who got to do a kickoff against the super awesome soccer player who's going to be on Real Salt Lake next year? Who got to do a little kickoff? Yeah. Anybody get a point? Somebody got a point? Wow, that is really impressive. Yeah, give a hand for getting a point. Fantastic. So everybody, I'm just going to try to take a quick 5 minutes here and introduce the rest of our presenters. Soleil Lofts is a first of its kind, and it's not every day that you can say that you're part of a true first. This is the first all-electric master planned apartment community controlled by the local utility as a virtual power plant. And it's not talk, it's not concept, it's not 2022, it's not 2025, it's right now. And I think that deserves a huge... For me, if you know me, you know that this is passion, this is my heart, and what we are achieving here with the Wasatch Group and Rocky Mountain Power and Auric Energy is the cornerstone of the achievements for the U.S. Sonnen organization. And we are here to celebrate it, and hopefully also, as I'm sure Deloy will talk about, be able to replicate it for society. And this is a very key part of the message tonight. This is the beginning. I call this a Utah model. That's what I've started to call it. And I'm a Californian, to be clear. But in Utah, it's a very, in my opinion, practical state, a get-it-done kind of state, a no-nonsense state. And the politics that a lot of us in some states get divided up on, I feel like in Utah, it was more about how do we actually get something done. And in a state that already has a very stable grid, in a state that already has low electric prices. I mean, Rocky Mountain Power's prices are amongst the lowest in the country. How could you make this pencil? And how do you make it pencil with the longest lasting and safest battery in the world? I think everybody in this audience probably knows that sonnen is not the cheapo battery out there. So sonnen is, of course, a battery that lasts for decades. And for us, it's not about the price per kilowatt hour of a single charge, because I'm not even sure in my years in this industry what the scientific value of that is anyway. Instead, it's the price per kilowatt hour over the life of the system, the megawatt hour throughput of the battery that's going to be delivered to the grid. So what's that price per kilowatt hour stored over the entire life? That philosophy is built on this idea that you have to build a battery in such a way that it could actually have value to the grid. And that is not going to happen by building a battery unless it is a long-lasting and safe battery. Now, beyond sonnen, because we're obviously the battery people, and we have a very proud legacy of that coming from Germany, this could not have happened. Of course, we would get nowhere without our partners here on the stage. In fact, our partners on the stage are 95% of everything. We're like a little small thing. Deloy Hansen has a vision. He will talk to you about it. He's one of the most brilliant innovators that I've met in my life. And what he has decided to do with this community, we are going to build as a model, and we are going to export it to California and to other states. And we are going to use it as a blueprint for clean energy, carbon neutral, healthy communities that address key problems like air quality, which Deloy will talk about. So this was Deloy's vision. Deloy brought us in, the Wasatch Group, which of course is one of the most well-known companies in Utah. The tradition Deloy has built over decades is incredible. Obviously, he owns all of this in Real Salt Lake and the Salt Lake City Royals and some really great soccer teams, as well as many apartment communities and other buildings. But beyond that, we had the ability to take the Wasatch Group's vision and expand it out with Rocky Mountain Power. And you're going to hear about that. You're going to hear about how Rocky Mountain Power did not put up barriers, did not decide to do philosophy for 7 years, did not decide to sit. And part of this is because of the way their company's structured. Part of it's because of Deloy's relationships. Part of it's because of this man right here, Bill Como, who you're going to hear from, who fought day and night and did a wonderful job and worked with some wonderful regulators here in Utah to get this virtual power plant project through the Public Service Commission, and he'll talk about that. If it was not for Rocky Mountain Power's ingenuity and passion to try to do something new and exciting, it's customer-centric, and to work with Deloitte to do something new and important. Oh, I thought I lost my mic. I didn't. To tap it. Then we would not have this project, this revolution. In addition to that, if it wasn't for Auric Energy, if it wasn't for Auric Energy, right? Auric Energy, huh? Auric Energy, and you'll hear from both of these fine, outstanding human beings from Auric Energy. This is a solar installer that is no longer a solar installer, but is instead an energy company because they have embraced solar plus battery as their future, right? And that is very important. And not just any battery, but a battery that lasts for decades. So Auric brought the passion, the heart, and the engineering capability to make this virtual power plant work. In closing, I just want to say from Sonnen and from our parent company, Royal Dutch Shell, this is the beginning. This is only the beginning. Mark my word, right now. In a year from now, there will be more virtual power plant announcements from Sonnen and the Wasatch Group, and it is going to be as exciting as these, and we are going to change the industry more. So I know I need to get off. You have some outstanding speakers here. You have two folks here from Auric Energy. Most of you probably know, half of you know, Nic Evans and Jess Phillips. They are dynamos. Gerald Johnson, the Chief Operating Officer of the Wasatch Group, the heart of this project. You have Bill Como from Rocky Mountain Power, and of course, the man with the vision, DeLo Hansen. So with that, I would like to actually introduce my boss's boss, the guy leads all of Shell New Energies and is the guy that's trying to bring Shell into a whole new light after the acquisition of Sonnen and has a big vision. And so I'd like to have him talk about how this project fits into Shell's story as the largest energy company in the world. Brian Davis.
Okay, thank you. Good. I think was trying to send me a message by not giving me a seat. But there's a reason for that, because this is not my story, this is their story, and I want to leave space for them to tell you what they've achieved. But I also wanted to highlight, as Blake said, that we saw a lot in Sonnen as Shell as a partner in helping us deliver our vision of providing more and cleaner energy solutions to help the world meet the challenge of climate change and providing more energy in a much more cleaner way for the decade to come. So we, as you know, we purchased Sonnen because we believed in their vision and mission, and we thought the sort of thing that you're going to hear tonight was a possibility in a year or two. And it's so important to us that I made the effort to be here, to be part of this celebration, because what you'll hear in the stories of the team here is a real first for having collaboration between multiple parties to make this VPP a success. And I'm looking at this as not something that we replicate only within Utah or only within the United States, but I think it has the potential to go much wider than that. So I think as you hear the stories tonight, reflect on what this team has achieved. And I thought, what do I take away as a message to give you a bit of a sense of hopefully what you hear? And three things came to mind. One was innovation. This is different to what you've seen before, it's innovative. One was collaboration. It's required multiple people to come together to get to know each other, what they need, what they agree and disagree on, and find a resolution. And then probably the most important bit is just do it. So it doesn't mean anything if it's on a PowerPoint slide. It actually, what you've hopefully seen tonight, when you go up and see those fantastic apartments, which I might rent one if I come here, what you've actually seen is the VPP already in action. So at that point, I might sort of stop and just congratulate all of you on a fantastic achievement. We in Shell look at this as a great example and a sort of pioneering spirit and a sort of a guiding of what the future holds for all of us. So thanks very much.
Brian Davison before him. Blake Richetta, everyone. Good. Next, we'll have the Vice President of Commercial Energy from Auric Energy. Please put your hands together for Nic Evans. Woo!
Thank you. In the early days, Deloitte shared his vision of Soleil and wasn't just going to be another apartment complex. He said he's been doing that for 30 years and he was sick of it, and this one was going to be special. And as we talked about the solar and the storage piece of this project, everyone here knows that Deloitte likes to go big, right? I mean, look at this building. He threw us on his plane and we flew out to visit a couple storage facilities, and very quickly, as we got back to modeling these for this system, we ran into a lot of issues and a lot of problems, and looking at the power and the way we were going to sustainably ebb and flow with the grid. And we really had to take a step back, and if it weren't for a very innovative electrical engineer, Justin Osborne, I don't believe that some of this would have been possible. One thing I love that Deloitte says to me almost every time we talk is, Nic, we've got to get this right, and we need to find someone smarter than you and I to figure it out for us. And in a lot of cases, that's true. In this very building, Deloitte was speaking at the grand opening and discussed the HVAC system to keep the temperature here on the field right where they wanted to be with a tight tolerance. They talked about a large system and saying, you know, I think if we put several small HVAC systems in here, we'll be able to regulate the temperature better. For some reason, that story stuck with me, and I went back to Auric Energy and I said, hey, I think that we're looking at this all wrong. I think we're looking at this as a big commercial project with big storage. Can we take this down a step, and can we look at designing the infrastructure here, single phase 120/240, and build this community around the battery that it deserves to have? And we were able to figure that out and put it together, but it wasn't easy. And as you've heard here, it took a team. It took a team with Rocky Mountain Power, took a team with Sonnen, many long nights, different iterations, but we had the resolve to make it happen, to come here together, to be the first of its kind. And so let's celebrate this night together with this great accomplishment. Thank you.
Nic Evans, everyone. Woo!
Nic!
We'll next hear from Jess Phillips, the CEO of Auric Energy.
Woo!
Well, it's exciting to be here. I met Nic about 6 years ago, and he was working for another company, and I heard that he was #1 in the nation at his company. So I went up to congratulate him, and I know him. We lived close by each other, and I said, congratulations on being #1 in your company. And he said, thank you. When can I get an interview with Auric? And his wife was standing there, and I was like, are you okay with this? And he's become a great friend, and I really believe he's the best solar and storage developer in the nation. So if you guys get a chance to meet Nic, you need to take an opportunity. He's got an incredible team behind him at Auric, and I really want to thank him for the hundreds of hours and the team and that Auric that they put into this project. So thank you. Okay, I want to start with a cool story. We're going to go back to 1879, December 30th, and this is in an area known as Menlo Park in New York City. And Thomas Edison is about to reveal, that day he's about to reveal electric light to the world. His staff had wired a laboratory, a few homes, a couple businesses, and they actually wired what we know as light poles today, something that nobody had ever seen before. And the New York Herald said, Menlo Park was thronged with visitors coming from all directions to see the wonderful electric light. And so it just continued through New Year's, hundreds of people coming on these trains to see electric light at Menlo Park. And it's a new idea that was going to change the world. Now, it sounds like a pretty cool event to be at, I don't know if it was the same grand opening party we have. I think it's pretty cool. I want to thank Sonnen for putting this on and for Deloy for giving us one of his rooms. It's a pretty decent place. So, but back to the story. That celebration at Menlo Park, it not only introduced commercially viable light, the light bulb, but it also gave this idea of an electrical system to illuminate the streets, the buildings, and the entire community. Now, how many of you guys are from Utah? Let's hear you. Okay. How about outside of Utah? Okay. Anybody outside the U.S.? No, Brian Davis is. So.
Yeah, Brian Davis is. Yeah.
So tonight, just like at Menlo Park, we have visitors from all around the world to celebrate another first, which is called Soleil. It's not a new light bulb, it's not even really about a new solar panel or even a new battery, but it's really about an ingenious power solution that's unlike anything the world's ever seen. Forbes recently called Soleil Lofts, about just a couple weeks ago, they said the first master planned apartment community in the world that is a virtual power plant for solar and storage. And then Bloomberg stated that Soleil is the nation's biggest all-electric, carbon-free, solar-powered apartment complex. So, yeah. When this story started coming out, had a lot of people that work with Auric partners and colleagues, friends, family saying, man, you guys have got to be excited at Auric about this. Deloitte, I remember when he told me the vision of this thing almost 3 years ago, I was like, Deloitte, I don't know about that. And he would not let it go, and here we are today. So I commend him for really driving this and dragging us along the way sometimes. But as far as one of the stories to encapsulate how excited we are, we actually have an employee who named their newborn daughter Soleil. That's how excited we are at Auric about this project. So, and one of the reasons why is the environmental impact this is going to have. Our vision statement at Auric is to make sustainable energy consumption and production a standard way of life. And the environmental impact for Soleil, just to give you a stat on that, it's the equivalent of taking 33,000 cars off the road during the 30-year life of the system. I think the thing is just as exciting is that it's commercially viable, and that's what Soleil Lofts proves. And it can be duplicated almost anywhere in the world. So, and it's right here across the street. So, how many of you guys did get to take a tour? It's pretty cool, right? If you didn't, I think we're still doing them after. Yes. And if you're local, you can go there anytime. You know, there's some great tours going on. You might even find an apartment you like. I know Blake fell for it. He signed a 6-month lease already.
Yes, we have a lease.
So he's ready to go. I have to admit, I was here on Friday and it was raining, and I asked the guys, hey, where's the bathroom? And there's a porta potty pretty far away, so I actually snuck in to your apartment, so thank you. But as you tour Soleil, you're going to find a lot about, you're going to learn a lot about the man who envisioned it. And I'll never forget the first time I met Deloy. It was almost 6 years ago. Can't believe how fast it's gone. And he's been a big part of our growth and our success story at Auric. He's also been a great mentor for me, helped me develop as a leader. And I think the thing that stood out to me in that first 4-hour meeting, 4 hours, we were in there. And he said, I want to test you guys on Rio Tinto Stadium, which is still the largest privately owned system in Utah, 2 megawatts, which is home of Real Salt Lake. And we were in that meeting, and I knew how much he'd accomplished, and it just shocked me how much drive he had to just keep getting better. I mean, he'd accomplished so much already. And he really leads from the front with his team to get better. His statement I always hear him say is, we've got to build a better mousetrap all the time. So he's always been a great mentor for me and for our team, and has really helped be a part of the Auric success story. So I want to thank him for that. The other thing about Soleil is it really challenged those values to build a better mousetrap. I mean, at any point, there were several times where we could have said, hey, this is way too challenging, especially the collaboration it was going to require to do something like this. And Deloitte's already done so much for the community. I mean, for example, he's actually invested about $40 million into solar projects already here in Utah in this community. So it's not like it's something he needed to do. to say he did his part, he's done more than that already. So why would he take a risk on a project like this that's never been done before? And I really think it's this simple. He really believes in not just saying you're going to do something about the pollution problem we have, but actually doing something. And I think you'll hear more about that, and it's evident. I mean, we're in a building right here that's solar powered right now, so it's incredible to see his vision. And really the big thing that I've noticed with Deloitte is it takes a lot of courage to do something like this. And the other part is the unwavering trust that he had in his team and he had in Auric. So I want to thank him for the trust that you've given Auric to build this project and be a part of your vision. So thank you. So Blake came to our office about 2 years ago, and he did a presentation on the sonnen battery. And by the end of it, I was really impressed. I knew he had a lot of passion, and I felt like he had a great team behind him. And I said, Deloitte had told me about his vision, and I said, Blake, I think we have the right guy and the right vision for a project that could really show off what sonnen could do. And we introduced him to the Wasatch Group, and they've been a great partner to help us develop this project. And without sonnen, obviously, it wouldn't have happened. And they immediately saw the potential domino effect this project could have, and they gave us all their resources, and it's been awesome to work with them. So at that point, we felt like we had the right team to work with Rocky Mountain Power and Bill Como and their incredible team, and to be able to understand Deloitte's vision. And I think the most important thing that I noticed with Rocky Mountain Power is they listened to their customer, and they really paid attention to that. And they really have a vision. There was a lot of roadblocks, and they were a part of the solution throughout the entire time. So I want to thank Bill and the team at Rocky Mountain Power for everything they've done to help make this project happen. So thank you. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Going back to 1879. January that year, Thomas Edison had already demoed the light bulb in his lab. He knew it would work. But it wasn't until December at Menlo Park in front of hundreds of people that he was able to reveal electric light to the world and prove that it was commercially viable. And that's really, at Auric Energy, that's really what this is for us. I mean, we really, this was more than shooting for the moon. This was like shooting for Mars. We skipped some steps. We learned some hard lessons along the way, but we're better for it. And I think what's really exciting about it is not only that we did it, but all the things we learned along the way, the partnerships we've gained, and I think most importantly, where this project is taking us. Soleil has really given us confidence in where we can go and where we're headed as a company. It's really an achievement that everybody here, it's a huge deal for our industry and for our company and for everybody involved, but it's an achievement that we really can say 20, 30 years from now that we were a part of the solution. We can tell our kids and our grandkids that we did something about it. We didn't just talk about it. So I want to just leave you guys that we're really just getting started with this, and I'm so grateful to be a part of the solution as part of Soleil Lofts project. Thank you.
Jess Phillips, everybody. Up next is Jerem Johnson, the COO of Wasatch Premier Properties.
I think I'd be, well, there we go. There it is. I thought about this for a little while and just thought about how many people in our organization and the other organizations mentioned participated in getting this project done. And it's just an innumerable amount of people. I couldn't thank you if I had all night. But I did want to take a minute to thank some special people inside of our organization that helped get it done. From a financing perspective, from a design perspective, for our partners, in that side of what we did here. I tell everybody in our organization when they start, 1 year at Wasatch is it's like dog years. It's not 7 though, it's 10. So I'm 120 in Wasatch years, and it feels longer than that. But that's because we work at such an aggressive pace. Deloitte said to me a little while ago, he said, I've just decided, early on that I wouldn't accept anything but greatness. And I said, okay, well, that's convenient for you and very challenging for the rest of us. So as we sat down and walked through, this project and we started, I said in the video, we didn't think any detail that we could, overthink. And we really did. We were designing this for over 2 years. And we were glad when Deloitte stopped coming to the meeting so we could actually start to finalize the design, because it just kept evolving and becoming something greater. But inside of our group, I want to thank Janae Jarvis, who worked with me very closely on developing this project. I want to thank our on-site team, which helped you guys see the apartments as you were touring. Gracia leads that team. James Johnson, who's our regional. That whole team. Auric, who's our team lead over there. Wasatch is a big family, and this is a family, event. When we look at it, this is a lot of hard work from every member of the family. On our Guarantee Capital side, Ryan Peterson, I want to thank him. I want to thank John Lindsley, Josh Roy, who did our energy efficiency modeling. And he would go through one model, and then we'd change the design, and then he'd say, that completely changes my model. And they were like, well, that's happening to everybody, so you get to participate too. And so we kept doing that. But, as we worked with our design team, Anne-Marie Barton with A&B Design, you can stand and wave, and Kimberly. So when you walk through these and you say, this is not like a regular apartment, there's your reason why. And then G from Architecture Belgique, their team, and Tyler over there, they did such a great job working with us on giving the building a stance that's unique and an experience that's unique. I had a discussion with Deloitte this week that I think relevantly expresses my opinion of this project. We were talking about a personal, a family development that he has. And we were talking about why he created it and what the purpose of it is. And he said, I don't want anyone to feel like they own a building. And I'm going to get a little emotional in this location, because it's bigger than that. It's bigger than the building. It's bigger than individual ownership. It's about something more. It's about a community. And Soleil, to me, is that, as we worked with WCB, who's our builder, Scott, Ryan, Paul, Kevin Arnell, Joe Vashaw, and we went through that. Scott will tell you he feels like he's paying to do this project, and he's probably right. But when we're going through that process, we're doing it for one purpose. And we hope that everybody here and everybody in the world understands that we want people to join us in a crusade to change how they're living, to say, I'm going to be uncomfortable in having to overthink and overdesign and go through all of these things, and I'm going to do it for one reason, because I care enough about the real issues that exist and how I can solve them, and I'm going to work with partners to get that done. And I'm going to work with the grid. I'm not going to be isolated from the grid and solve my own problem and nobody else's. No, I'm going to work with the grid so that when I solve a problem, I also solve it for a lot of other people. It's a community event. So as each of you look at it and you've walked it and you go through that process, what I want you to take away is say, am I committed to be an environmental crusader like these guys that built Soleil Lofts? Am I committed to care enough that I'm going to be uncomfortable through a design process and working with a utility provider so that the world is improved, so that our experience is better for having, interacted with every person on this panel and all of the subs that worked with us and every other partner. Soleil Lofts is a community event. It's a family thing, and it's the human family. We only have one of them. So we thank you for being here, for supporting us. And we would ask you to join us in that crusade. Thank you.
Jerem Johnson, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce to you our next speaker, one of tonight's keynote speakers and the Managing Director of Customer Innovation at Rocky Mountain Power. Please give a warm welcome to Bill Como.
gonna have to use the podium. This is gonna be tough for me. Let me do this, because I think I'm gonna get feedback here. So let me just do that. Okay, here we go. So, as the regulated utility here in Utah, we're so fortunate to have passionate people in our community that truly want to have a difference. We're just a public service company that's here to provide the basic service of electricity. We want to make sure the hospitals are running. We want to make sure people's energy is on when they need it. We want to make sure the schools, hospitals are running. But when somebody comes to us with a vision such as Deloitte that says, guys, solar is going on roofs all around the places. You guys are even helping us subsidize this. But it's causing a challenge for you guys for the grid. I want to be there to help you. There was a lot of skepticism with that. My CEO, who asked me to sit down with this team and figure something out, truly believed in Deloitte and said, let's try to figure something out. At the end of the day, it was about a vision, and it's about leadership. There was a leader on my side that said, Bill, get it done, open up the doors for me. There was a leader within the community that said, we're going to get something done, and I'm going to bring the solar companies together with the power company, and you guys are going to try to figure it out. And if there's any place that it could be done, it's in Utah, where we value partnerships. We value working together. At the yes. At the end of the day, what it really boils down to, we are a company, from our perspective, we are working towards a sustainable future. A sustainable future means that you have to find a way to integrate renewable energy into the grid. Having renewable energy just come into the grid whenever it comes in and not being able to control it and have too much at some times and having it just go into the ground and not being used and having not any value for it makes it so you can't add more renewable energy into the grid. The reason this community is so innovative starts with leadership, says let's try to figure how to get something done, and then it starts with trust. We developed a partnership where we came together, and instead of saying, how are we not going to be able to do this? How can we get in the way? We said, we're going to do this. We're going to figure it out. We're going to work together and find a solution for both the solar industry and for the utility company, so we can truly find the solution for a sustainable future that includes those that want to put solar on the roof, but ultimately that helps us continue to keep the lowest power prices, some of the lowest power prices in the country, make sure that we have that power for those that are low income, that can't afford it, make sure that we can integrate it and have more renewables come into our grid. And what does that? It's sitting down, thinking about a solution. Now let's talk about the solution. I know they talk about sonnen a lot and the batteries, and it almost sounds like we just started there. It was not started there. I'll tell you, when we came in, there were other battery companies that they were really considering. And when we sat down and said, well, those batteries will only last 4 years if we cycle them every day. We need to utilize them every day. We need to do frequency response. We need to do some really innovative things that allows us to be able to, when we have issues on the grid from too much renewables, how can we dispatch these and have it work? We had a checkbox that said it's got to be a utility grid asset, it's got to be cycled every day, it's got to be safe, it's got to do all these things. And I give this team credit, Auric Solar, everybody, Wasatch Group, that really sat and said, you know what, we want the utility as part of the partner, we trust them in what they need, and we truly ended up with a solution that is going to be a platform for us to figure out how to provide battery solutions for our customers. And I like to walk around, that's why podiums don't work for me. Okay, so I'll just walk around with it. So when you step back and think about why it's innovative and what it really means for the utility industry, the problem is, and I'll be honest, the utilities are part of the problem, okay? We have to recognize that. But the solar companies have to recognize they're part of the problem, right? Special interests have to realize you're part of the problem. If you don't come to the table under a vision that says, let's try to find a solution that's for the community and for society as a whole, it's very, very difficult to get projects off the ground, it's impossible. So when you think of this solution, it really is about taking a step back and figuring out what is it that we really want, what is it that we really need, and we all want a sustainable future. We all want clean air. We all want to be able to leave a better place for our kids, our families, those types of things. So when I'm lucky enough, and they say, Bill, thank you. When I'm lucky enough to be a part of a community like this and be able to do this, at the end of the day, it's just the right thing to do. I sit here and I kind of listen to folks. I'm like, why is this so crazy? Why is it crazy that we sat down and actually let go of our egos and said, let's just figure it out and work together and find a solution that people keep talking about that they can't just get done? In a state that has some of the lowest power prices in the country, and figuring out in a way. And I'll tell you what partnerships do. We're already having discussions with local solar developers in Utah, finding a way of how we can help them figure out to bring batteries as a solution for residential customers, and helping us utilize that as a grid asset so we have solar coming on in a way that benefits all. You don't have your neighbor subsidizing your other neighbor. You don't have just the effluent having solar. You have everybody benefiting from that solar that's managed as a grid that's going to continue to keep our prices low. It's just an amazing thing to be a part of. I would like to there is someone in the audience I'd just like to call out. It is very difficult to do the tough thing, to be told, hey, go do something, and have a lot of, I'll call it, it's hard to do something innovative, especially in companies that have done things the same way for a long time. Just having a partner, having somebody that helps you, that believes in you, and is a confidant. I do want to, Shuri, can you raise your hand? I just wanted to thank her. And I will say, these things aren't easy. They're not easy. The team worked really hard. Coming back, there were barriers. We had to get innovative. We had some answers that they weren't happy with, but we worked through everything that we could. But sometimes it's not even the person that's out front. Please remember this, it's out front doing it. It's the people that are helping them. So always think about that when you're working with people that are out there trying to do something different. It seems easy, but it's not. It's a lot of risk. It's a lot of courage that's out there that happens with this. And you worry about failure. And it's those people that are behind you, whether it be your family, whether it be your coworkers, that trust you, that really make these things happen. And then, of course, the trusted partnerships that you guys are working with. There's things that we did just because we knew it was the right thing to do from all parties around. And I just want to say thank you for everybody. And at the end of the day, we are here as a public service company. We are committed to Utah to help us figure out how we can improve the air quality along the Wasatch Front. We are committed to a sustainable future, bringing in as much renewables as we can. We've committed to about $4 billion just within the past year to bring more renewables into our service territory. We're about 30% renewable energy now. When you go back 13 years ago when I started with the company, we were about 5%. So we think about the future that I can be proud of, leaving with for my kids, is figuring out how can we truly find a way for a sustainable future that's low cost, affordable, allows companies to come in here, be economic. We have companies coming here because of the low power prices, because of the cost of living. That is the type of community that we want here in Utah, and it's the partnerships. Thank you.
Bill Como, everyone. And please keep it going for all of the speakers which we've heard from up to this point. It is my pleasure to announce at this time our final speaker, our keynote speaker, the chairman and CEO, the founder of the Wasatch Group, Mr. Del Loy Hansen.
He had to say that I'm his boss. Wow. I want to start. I need Ryan, Josh, and Jay to come sit here on the platform. Ryan, Peterson, Josh, Jay. Where's Jay at?
Jay Oman.
Is Jay hiding out?
No, Jay's right here. He's coming, Bob.
Okay. You got to sit right here in front. Sit right here. Humiliation's part of being in this company. Obviously, I want to start with the point that I'm 66 years old, have the most remarkable wife. Julie, if she could stand up. We just had our 47th grandchild, so we have a really big tent that we take care of. And I have an absolute stoic Marcus Aurelius belief. I got the chance to go to Rome 2 days ago and sit in front of the statue that Michelangelo designed of Marcus Aurelius that stood out in the square for 400 years. They just moved it in. But the whole theory of Stoicism and Marcus Aurelius is your life is devoted to how you build a community. It's not about creating wealth. It's not about creating self-esteem. It's about how you invest your life in building. For Marcus Aurelius, it was Rome. He was an amazing philosopher king that understood people, knew how to bring people together, and he was one of the greatest Roman emperors that ever lived. I come with that vision that my sole purpose is to build a community that is something I want to hand to my 47 grandchildren. So, like Jerem said, I don't care about building apartments. I care about creating something that will improve our community. So we drew that line in the sand 3 years ago. We built 100 apartment communities, we run those, but we're never gonna do that again. What we're now going to do is build a community that really benefits that community. So we drew some hard lines. It has to be 100% carbon free. Try to heat a swimming pool with electric heat. That's a challenge. Try to have the sustainability of that power without a partnership with your local utility. So by setting this impossible goal, we found we needed an amazing number of partners to figure it out. And I want to while I could talk infinitely, I want to call out 5 core partners that came to the table to work with that. Jay Oman had to put up with me for 2.5 years. He had hair. He had a lot of hair when we started. And Jay knows that the number of times he came in my office, I said it's not good enough, could be counted on 100 times, wouldn't it, Jay? About 100 times. You know? So one, we set a goal that we weren't going to compromise. We wanted to create a vision that someone else could follow. We want to create a blueprint. We're going to teach it to everyone. We have no secrets. We want to see this vision carried out hundreds and hundreds of times. Because one, it is commercially viable. It includes, so importantly, the public utility, as opposed to having some friction there. There is no friction. We have the same vision. We work together. So again, when we came up with that idea, I had a great friendship with Cindy Crane, who was a sponsor at Real. We became great friends, and she committed every Wednesday to send a development team to work on these problems for months upon months upon months. It didn't come quickly. We have public service commissions. We have all kinds of issues in how batteries and solar interface with the grid effectively. But I can tell you, with good engineers, with Auric Energy, with Rocky Mountain Power, with our environmental engineer, Josh, stand up and take a bow, because he had to redo that energy model at least 100 times. But I do want to do a shout out while I got Josh there, is that we did set a goal to create the most amazing apartment for low energy use, LED lighting. We have one that only has 1 air exchange an hour instead of 7. It's the most energy efficient apartment you could design. We had to find new partners that could make sure it was that. We had to orient the buildings appropriately, so we didn't have solar gain. So this apartment, if you normally paid $100 for electricity, without that, you'd pay $60. Now when you come into it and you apply all of the solar battery, that with it, we have an amazing place to live at a low cost, and you have all your utilities are electric, water heaters, furnaces, everything is electric. We don't put a drop of carbon into the air. Now that's a challenge. Second, we've been able to generate enough extra power that we're able to offer when people move in. we have 200 electric charging stations for your car that we're offering for free. After we get you hooked in, we'll charge $50, which is 20 cents on the dollar. But I want to say that this group had to raise the money, which is near 30 million. They had to go through infinite things because there was no blueprint. Nobody gave us a blueprint. Nobody told us how all these things would come together. Trial and error, we kept bouncing them together. But I do want to say, you could not have picked a better utility company that walked into the room and said, you're our customer, we want to help you succeed. That was the attitude at every meeting. Never once did they say, yeah, we've got these issues, but how do we figure it out? We had to go through the Public Service Commission. We had to get rate changes. We had to get a billing system. We had to get a method for sharing power outside of the battery into the grid. So as we worked with it and engineered it, we found that we have now been able to create a community that for 25 to 30 years will be able to generate its own power, actually send power back in emergencies to the grid at peak power moments, in an earthquake, in a power shutoff. We're going to serve our greater community as part of it. Now envision that as Rocky Mountain has. So they bought the vision, why don't we do this 20 times? So isn't that great to have a utility that is saying, I want to dance with the solar company, with the battery company. We want to enhance that vision and get there together. I mean, I still remember seeing a picture of Elon Musk on the cover of Time magazine wrestling with Warren Buffett. Who's going to win, solar or the utility? You don't need that picture anymore. We ought to have one with a very delicate, beautiful dance, dancing solar and the utility. So I'm grateful that we did it here in Utah. The beautiful part is the plan will work anywhere, and it is, you don't lose money. You have an apartment community and you have a utility. The utility makes money. So we put together something that you make money building it, you make money operating it, and you'll make money selling it. So it's a commercially viable system that you can impose on any apartment community or commercial project. I do want to thank Sonnen because we did have a huge battery problem before we met Sonnen. We were able to fly out to Atlanta. They put us with their engineers, and we challenged those engineers. They're here tonight. Sonnen engineers, raise your hand. Right here. Jump up and down. There it goes. Meaning, we kept posing problems, and they improved their system. We now have challenged them to get us a 50 kW battery so we can build a 600,000 square foot office building and have it be completely solar. But I need a bigger battery. He's working on it. That's all I want to hear. They're working on it. So the part that I don't want to get too long-winded, we had a great vision that we want a community that we have too much pollution today. We will double the population here in 30 years. If we don't add one drop of carbon, we have too much already. So one, we look at ourselves as baselining the carbon and saying what we build, we won't add any more into the system. But we now want to help with Auric and the battery is to take existing projects, and we've done 36 together. Now we need to add the battery component so we can store and create reliable power from that. Rocky Mountain Power told me they will never build another carbon project again. They won't ever need it. So the beautiful thing is Rocky Mountain has already got all of the carbon-based generation they need. What they're now replacing it with is with wind, with solar, with battery, and they've already moved from 5% renewable to 30%. I honestly think Rocky Mountain will be one of the first power companies in the nation that can probably say we'll have 80 to 90% coming in from battery, solar, wind, and renewable. And they're doing it without charging their customer a higher price. We need to take our hat off to Rocky Mountain Power. That was the biggest pleasant surprise I had through the whole process, is what an amazing public utility I have here in Utah. I obviously have got apartments throughout the West. I work with lots of public utilities. Nobody's like Rocky Mountain. Rocky Mountain should be the model that every public utility should have to come and watch, because they do get it. The customer matters, the environment matters, and we can solve problems because we all want reliable electricity. And in the end, if we can do that with renewables, batteries, and the power company, why not? And they bought that vision totally, and they're all in. So again, thank you. I want to thank Scott Oberman, my partner, because I drive him nuts every day. This project's got to be cheaper, it's got to be better, it's got to be nicer, it's got to get done on time. And so nobody who's ever worked with me would say I don't drive nuts. But we do get things done, and we believe in getting things done, and we believe in coming back and helping our community. My goal ultimately is how can I help the teachers? How can I help a young 7-year-old learn soccer? How can we help people live in communities that they want to live in, that we meter the water? 25 years ago, we built Conservice that now has 6.2 million members. That was because we wanted to save water. We live in a desert, and when you meter the water, you use 30 to 40% less. And we built a large company in Logan now with 1,500 employees, but we're the largest utility management company in North America. So you can have those visions and say, I will save water, I will have renewable power, and then never quit till you get there. Thank you for coming tonight. We look forward to helping you all build projects like this. Thank you.
Keep it going for Deloy Hanson, Blake Richetta, Brian Davis, Nic Evans, Jess Phillips, Jerem Johnson, and Bill Como. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a program, you would think that at this point that we are done with our main stage presentation, but we're not.
Special announcement. You don't want to miss the special announcement. First of all, I think there's also a few Soleil Lofts tenants here. So raise your hand if you're a Soleil Lofts tenant. All right, yeah, there's a few. Thank you for coming. Also for the Sonnen organization in Atlanta and the Shell organization around the world and the Sonnen organization around the world and in Germany. Thank you for being here. Okay, so the special announcement that we're done, we can party and celebrate this wonderful community. Sonnen has a couple of special awards. This is the most special award we've given to date. So this is, if you look in the news, the Sonnen Brilliance Award. And the 2019 Brilliance Award for Excellence in Leadership and Partnership, which is actually the biggest award we've given since we've moved to the United States from Europe, is going to Deloy Hanson from the Wasatch Group. I'll take that. I'll give it to him in a minute. So this is a special award, a special thing for us. I think we need to do a picture, and we're going to do an interview, right, Michelle? Picture and interview? Okay. So this kind of accomplishment can't go without the proper recognition. And for Sonnen globally, this means a lot. This means that this is the model that we're going to use moving forward as a company. So thank you, Deloy. One more hand for Deloy, the 2019 winner of Visionary Leadership and Innovation from Sonnen and Shell New Energies. Thank you. I think we have to go, go ahead.
Another big round of applause for all the speakers tonight, everyone. Also, I want to let you know that there will be tours available. If you did not get a chance to see one of the properties, you'll still be able to tonight. So make sure you head toward those the northeast doors if you want to find out about that and be able to see those. Also, there will be dancing. The bar is now open again.
Eat,
everyone.
drink, and be merry.
Also, there will be a raffle that will take place right around 10 o'clock this evening. So if you entered into that, make sure you stick around for that. Thank you so much, and that concludes the main stage presentation for this evening.
Thank you.